Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you.
Welcome to Nevada Newsmakers. On the broadcast today, Paul Enos, Mary Lau, and Mac Bybee join us. They endorsed President Trump yesterday on stage, making speeches in Las Vegas at the Trump Hotel. It's all coming up next on an all-new Nevada Newsmakers.
Retail's impact on Nevada's economy? Enormous. 8,600 businesses, large and small, employing 145,000 workers. And last fiscal year, retail paid tax on nearly $60 billion in sales. We're the Retail Association of Nevada. We support retail, we help it grow, and we mean business.
RANNV.org.
Pro Group Management specializes in providing industries with the necessary components to satisfy and exceed workers' comp requirements. Every business has unique needs and specific regulations. Pro Group Management stays ahead of the curve, providing up-to-date services to keep your industry in top form. Discover how we simplify your tasks, improve efficiency, and reduce expense to keep you moving in a positive direction. Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you.
Truck drivers are some of the hardest working people you'll meet, delivering over 70% of America's freight and 92% of Nevada's. When there's a natural disaster, they're delivering critical supplies to help those communities recover and rebuild. Every sector of the economy and our nation's military rely on truck drivers. So let's take a moment to say thank you. On the open road or city streets, our truck drivers are rolling to make our economy and our nation stronger. Trucking
This is Nevada Newsmakers with host Sam Shad, a no-holds-barred political forum. Now, from the Nevada Newsmakers broadcast headquarters, here is Sam Shad.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we have a very interesting show for you today. We have three great guests. Mac Bybee is here, President and CEO of the Associated Builders and Contractors. Mary Lau is the President and CEO of the Retail Association of Nevada. And our landlord is here. He hosts Nevada Newsmakers for our tapings. Paul Enos, CEO of the Nevada Trucking Association. And all three of you flew down to Las Vegas yesterday to endorse President Trump at the Trump Hotel. Mac, you spent a lot of time on Capitol Hill. Was this in any way comparable to any of the events you saw on Capitol Hill?
Well, events I saw, yes, not events I participated in. This was actually different than anything else I've ever done. Showing up, taking the same stage as the president, talking to the White House, traveling press corps, it was just a completely different experience altogether. And it was a pretty amazing experience.
Mary, you've done a lot of public speaking in your time. Is there anything like speaking in front of the president and as Max says, the press corps?
I think the level of respect, because regardless of the opinion, it is the president, it is the White House press corps. And you also have to be very cognizant of not breaking the rules, because Secret Service is everywhere. So it's not a pomp and circumstances, but it is a very high level of respect for anybody and everybody that's involved in that situation.
And Paul, all three of you spoke at the event. I watched it on Facebook yesterday, and it was fascinating to watch. Were you nervous at all? What was your reaction?
Well, I think you're always a little nervous. I will say, Sam, what really helped me out there is, and I kind of alluded to it a little in my speech, I feel blessed because the trucking industry gets to represent or gets to touch every sector of the economy, and having two other business organizations there that I get to work with at the legislature, and my members absolutely rely on what both Mac's folks at ABC and Mary's folks at the Retail Association do. That was just as special to me. You know, I really think the business community in this state and really in this country, we need to realize those symbiotic relationships that we have with each other. I think so often we get stuck in different silos, but being there to talk about the policies of this administration and this president with two other business groups that my members absolutely rely on for their business to move their freight, that was very special to me. As special sharing that with these two organizations and their members that I have nothing but respect for, you know, along with the leader of the free world, meant a lot to this kid from Elko.
To say the least. Take us behind the scenes. What happened before the event?
So it actually started 7:30 in the morning. We all had to show up and get tested for COVID before we would get green lighted to actually participate.
And what was entailed?
So we showed up to a separate hotel. They had the district health officials there. We all got swabbed, and we all had to wait for essentially our test to come back negative. And it actually didn't take very long. It was all very, very quick. But we all had to sit tight there. And then once those tests were taken, we were kind of in our own pod because we all tested negative. And from that point, we were escorted by Secret Service and campaign staff to the Trump Hotel to where the actual event took place.
Mary, your thoughts of what happened behind the scenes?
Well, I thought they did an excellent job. Like Max said, as soon as we were tested, you filled out a health form, you had your temperature, and you had the swab, and then you're in a bubble. You did not go outside of that bubble. And once you arrived at the hotel, you stayed distant from anybody, and that wasn't part of the group now that was totally, COVID free. And then elevated up, and you stayed there. If you went to the restroom, you had to go to a certain restroom, and you stayed. They showed you the room and where you'd be standing. Then we went back in, and then just a few minutes before the president came into the room, we were put into our seats, and that was it. Into our standing by the flags. So they did a phenomenal job, and of course, it's unobtrusive, and it's totally protected. So Secret Service was everywhere, and it was very nicely done. We've done other events with other presidents and stuff like that, and this was awesome.
As you said, a kid from Elko. What were your thoughts of behind the scenes?
I was once again very impressed. I actually enjoyed the little banner we got to have with the White House press corps, the pool reporters who were traveling on Air Force One. Actually, one was nice enough to throw me a little packet of M&Ms with the presidential seal on it, which I was going to give to my kids, and then it's like, can I eat them? And it's like, give me those back. No, but it was nice little banter back and forth, and really collegial as well. I think a lot of times, Sam, some of the environments that we end up here in Nevada with the press can get a little like this. So, considering the event that we're doing, and really, this was an event I was very proud to do, proud to represent my membership, endorsing the President of the United States. Not something that we've done before, ever in the history of the Nevada Trucking Association, which has been around for 88 years, our first time doing it. And we had a reason for doing it, and it was all about policy, and it was all about the policies of this administration and what they've done for our membership, what they've done for our drivers, on something that affects them day in and day out, and really kind of looking at some of the broader issues that this president has done, such as the fight against human trafficking, to be able to talk about that and talk about the trucking industry, how we trained almost 1 million drivers nationwide to recognize and report these signs, and really something that we've been doing for since 2012, almost a decade. My favorite headline in this job was on the Elko Daily Free Press with Catherine Cortez Masto, now senior senator for the state of Nevada, when she was AG. It said, AG enlists road warriors in battle against human trafficking. Being able to work on those issues and see what this president has done on that, and thank him for that, and also let folks know what this industry's done. Those are the kind of things that really kind of filled my heart yesterday.
All right, let's take a break. We'll come back with much more with these guys endorsing the president yesterday at the Trump Hotel. We'll be right back.
Your good times are at Tamarack Casino. All new DC Cafe and Bar, serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Ooh, your good times at Tamarack.
Your good times are at Tamarack Casino.
Dad? What are you learning? This place is great.
Huh?
You gotta try this.
Wow, this stuff is great. People are gonna love it.
Yes. Yes, they will.
AHERT Rentals began as Signal Gas Station on Las Vegas Boulevard. Founder John AHERT grew the business by offering rentals. His son Don built on John's legacy, growing AHERT Rentals into the largest independently owned American rental company, with 89 locations in 30 states. Don also brought his experience and vision to equipment manufacturing with Extreme Manufacturing and Snorkel. Today, AHERT Rentals continues to bring its family values to a new generation. Learn more at ahert.com.
The signs and symptoms of cataracts can start out small with subtle changes in your vision. So don't wait. Be proactive and take your vision into your own hands. If you're experiencing the onset of cataracts or just have questions, contact your eye care professional or call Eye Care Associates of Nevada today. Dr. Hiss has years of experience specializing in the surgical correction of eye disorders and has completed over 84,000 vision correcting procedures. At Eye Care Associates of Nevada, we'll change the way you look at the world.
Your good times are at Tamarack Casino. All new DC Cafe and Bar, serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Ooh, your good times at Tamarack.
Your good times are at Tamarack Casino.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we continue our conversation with Paul Enos, Mary Lau, and Mac Bybee. They and their organizations endorsed President Trump yesterday for the presidency at the Trump Hotel in Las Vegas. Just one last question for all of you before we get into policy issues, because not very many of us ever get a chance to do something like this. So I'm kind of curious on everybody's behalf as to what your thoughts were. Did you get any chance to interact with the president's staff, campaign staff? What was that like?
Yeah, so most of our interaction was with the campaign staff. They were kind of our shepherds through everything, and the conversation, obviously the staging crew for the advance team for the press conference. So those are the individuals that we primarily interacted with, and they were great to work with, and they obviously know that this isn't something that we do every day, and so they were kind of walking us through it and helping us out, and just kind of giving us pointers, and and they were fantastic, and they kind of walked us through what to expect and what our roles were, and it worked out exactly as they kind of mapped it out for us, so that was great.
Mary, how did this endorsement come about? Were you invited to make the endorsement, or did you volunteer the endorsement? How did that part work?
No, there was an invitation from the campaign staff on the endorsement. And as you know, retail is bipartisan. However, we did discuss with our board, and it's the policies of the president. You said you want to get into that in the next phase. But everything he said he did, he would do, he did. So it was a no-brainer. The economy and COVID is where we trust him to go further on into the next 4 years. So we were willingly and able to immediately say yes.
Okay, so let's get into the policy areas then. Let's start out with COVID. There was a lot of interesting headlines over something that the chief of staff said, that the administration wasn't going to be fighting COVID. But what he actually was talking about was that they're providing all the resources because you can't fight a virus. A virus is a virus. It's going to work its way through the system until it's done. But he was talking about the mitigating circumstances. What other things are making you comfortable with the president's stance on COVID?
Actually, as you know, we also represent the major pharmacies in this state. And the fact that they are cautiously but rapidly working on a vaccine, and they are at the same time cautiously and working on fast tracking the approval of the vaccine. Everything is being done, so the mitigation of errors and stuff like this, but it is in the process concurrently. And those dual situations where they're checking the work each and every step of the way, as opposed to getting, one of Paul's truckloads of paperwork saying, here's the work that we've done, now go through it. You don't have years to wait. And Mark Meadows was totally misquoted. And of course, anytime they can jump on something, they will. COVID is here. SARS is here. N1H1 is here. The common cold is here. The vaccine is the key to it, and the therapeutics. You know, at one time you had to have a prescription for Claritin because you have a common cold and allergies and stuff like that. Now it's over the counter, and it takes years to do that. So we will conquer the how. The vaccine does not go away unless it self-implodes, and I don't know that any vaccine is designed to do that. Anything on the planet Earth is designed to survive, and it will fight to survive. But there is ways to control it, and that's what was being said. And in the pharmaceutical industry, where we're going to be giving the vaccines to people, we're very confident about what's going on.
And Paul, I do want to address this because it's come up both in my household and with various other people who are looking at what is clickbait in terms of headlines, whether it's online or in the newspapers, where it says White House not supporting the fight against COVID. But once you read the story, you realize, just as Mary has said, that that's exactly what is going on, that of course they're not abandoning.
Yeah, Sam, I mean, blaming one person or a politician or a political party for a virus is like blaming them for the weather or a hurricane. And really it comes down to, how do you respond to that? And when I look at my industry and the strain and stress that was brought about in the first few weeks when we shut down the economy to flatten the curve, and what the federal government did for the first time ever, suspending hours of service rules. So my truck drivers could ensure that folks had food in the grocery stores and Mary's grocery stores, that they had fuel, that they had medical supplies. I mean, I was on the phone with my former employee, Jaron Hildebrand, executive director of the Nevada Medical Association, emailing with the state lab saying, we're running into hours of service problems, can you help? And to be able to reach out to President Trump's administrator for the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration and get those testing kits as one of the things that they were exempting hours of service from. Hey, I'm very proud of that work, and that's something I don't think we would have got from another administration. First time it ever happened. So I really do think it's not about hey, fighting the virus. It's how are we going to respond to it, and how are we going to respond to it in a way where we don't absolutely decimate the best thing that this country has to offer. And that's what Mac and Mary and I and our members are a part of, and that's the private sector. And how do we keep that private sector vital, and how do we keep that private sector going? And when we look at the regulatory relief that we've had on numerous fronts for my guys, when they can drive and how they use as hours of service, for things like tax reform, which has allowed us to invest in companies, safer, cleaner trucks, to invest more in our people, increasing the wages of truck drivers year over year by double digits. Those are very important things that are all part of the public policy that comes out of this administration. And you know what, Sam? I know it's not a popular thing in all quarters, but to endorse this president, endorse the policies of this administration, to endorse what happened to this economy prior to the pandemic and how we're coming out of it now. I mean, seeing the numbers today that, the GDP shot up 33.1% is pretty phenomenal. And I will tell you, I'm very proud to be part of an organization that has the guts to, take something that isn't very popular in the media, it's popular with my members, and endorse this president. Happy to do it and proud to do it. And hey, we take some hits. I know my email blew up yesterday with anonymous people that I don't know, but all the folks that are part of this industry and that know me, it was, hey, thank you for doing that. We love this president too.
Mac, one of the things that I think people really don't understand, because there's so much focus on the president and the presidency, but they don't understand that Washington, D.C. and the affiliations of the federal government are vast. It's literally millions of people, correct?
Correct, and it's layered, right? And the president gets, right or wrong, gets faulted or approval on things that they often don't have control over. So if you look at how the congressional process works, where you have a Democratic House of Representatives, a Republican Senate, it complicates the priorities of the administration. And so when you look at the policy and the policies that get stalled, and then you look at other items within the administration that might get bogged down by the bureaucracy, blaming a single point in a very, very complex process is often unfair, or or it's just kind of gotcha politics where they just people want to advance a point without really having merit. It just sounds good, but once you start digging into it, it really is disingenuous or false.
All right, let's take another break and we'll come back and wrap up our thoughts here. What an event. We'll be right back.
Dimitri Prine here for Design Outdoor. Are you a homeowner who's interested in remodeling or building a home? At Design Outdoor, we can show you how adding natural or manufactured masonry stone can add beauty and value to your home. And we refer only the best contractors. Our store and backyard are located at 11600 South Virginia, just north of DeMonte Ranch Parkway. Visit designoutdoor.com or call us at 851-9499.
Hey guys, are you watching the game at a friend's or the bar again because you can't watch at home with your wife? Or worse, because she kicked you out and kept your couch, your flat screen, and your kids? What's the one thing a man needs when he loses a good woman? A good lawyer. And when he loses a bad woman, he needs a great lawyer. What makes a good woman a bad woman? You tell me. You're the one that can't watch the game in your own home. I'm men's rights attorney Marilyn York, and I represent men in divorce, custody, and family law matters.
Hi, I'm Dave Newman. Remember me? I used to be the house detective, and now I'm a realtor, full-time at RE/MAX Realty Affiliates. A lot of people ask me, how's the market? You know what? It's fantastic. If you're even kicking around the idea of buying or selling, give me a call. Let's talk about it. Call me at RE/MAX Realty Affiliates and just ask for the guy who used to be the house detective, Dave Newman.
Everyone is talking about opioids, but they're not the only drugs that can be harmful if taken in large quantities or not as prescribed. You also need to be aware of side effects from anxiety drugs, muscle relaxants, sleep aids, and stimulants. Mixing prescription drugs with other drugs or alcohol can be dangerous. If you take an Ambien with a glass of wine, it may be enough to stop you from breathing. Prescribed drugs can be just as dangerous as illegal drugs. Take medications only as directed.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we continue our conversation with Paul Enos. He's the CEO of the Nevada Trucking Association. Mary Lau is the president and CEO of the Retail Association of Nevada. And Mac Bybee is president and CEO of the Associated Builders and Contractors. And they all endorsed President Trump yesterday at the Trump Hotel in Las Vegas. On stage, all made speeches there, which I know you can find online. And for those that are going, well, where's the other side? Well, State Senator Ivana Cancela will be here. She heads up the Joe Biden campaign. She'll be on the program tomorrow. So we will have other perspectives here. But Mary, for those in the audience who are going to say, well, how could you possibly endorse President Trump after the last 4 years? What do you say to him?
I say he had the best economy we'd ever had. He did increase employment for everybody, women, minorities, etc. Everything that he says is absolutely true. And there isn't anybody in the world other than the universal God, whoever you worship, that knew COVID was going to come out here. So it's been handled well. He did exactly what was needed on the shutdown and the when. We can argue all the other garbage about, he was xenophobic for blocking China and everything else. But to Mac's point, and to Paul's point, everything that tries to be done has to be washed through Congress. So he did it once, he is the best person to do it again. And to undo all of that and do a huge tax plan that is going to cripple the economy. I realize Wall Street and a few techers, the Silicon Valley, they think they're going to score big and make more billions. That's not the point. The point is to get the American public the people in the center back working, back making money, and moving forward. You cannot tax people into prosperity. It does not work that way. And Biden doesn't have a plan. He really doesn't. The Kamala looks great in tennis shoes dancing. That really is embarrassing.
Paul, you got about 20 seconds here to answer the same question.
You know, Sam, when I look at what President Trump's done, how he has impacted my industry, and more importantly, all the folks that we serve, because they need to do well for us to do well, this president has done an absolutely phenomenal job on tax reform, on regulatory reform, and once again, on his fight against human trafficking. Very, very proud of the efforts and successes of this president on a basic human level.
Okay, you got about 15 seconds, Mac, to wrap it up.
Well, I mean, if you talk about workforce development initiatives and second chance programs, I mean, it's about helping people and elevating individuals at just the most basic fundamental level, and this president and his administration has focused on it like a laser and has changed lives and created pathways to success and opportunity.
Well, thank you all very much. A terrific show. Not too many people get to stand with the president and do a personal endorsement, and we appreciate you all being here. Thank you.
Thanks, Sam.
Thanks, Sam.
And we'll be right back.
A bird's eye captures its surroundings at different heights. At Brian Culpa Photography, we can make your imagination soar over buildings, parks, cityscapes, and beyond. Brian's images tell the story and get the job done. If you need a new perspective to tell your story, contact Brian today. Brian Culpa Photography. Experience the bird's eye view at brianculpaphotography.com.
Hey, Dad? Are you learning? This place is great. Huh? You gotta try this.
Wow, this stuff is great. People are gonna love it.
Yes. Yes, they will.
As you know, Reno is booming. Toll's development company is helping it grow with insightful design and development, building community with every project, adding beauty, adding excitement, emphasizing our shared humanity. Reno is becoming bigger. Toll's development is helping it become better, more livable, more enjoyable. To learn more, go to tollsdevelopment.com. tollsdevelopment.com.
Take a look at Pro Group Management and see how your workers' comp requirements can be met head-on. By taking a proactive approach, Pro Group can assure that your company is meeting or exceeding state and federal standards. As you move forward in your industry, Pro Group moves with you, simplifying regulatory tasks, clearing the way so you can get the job done and look to your future success. Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you.
You can now watch Nevada Newsmakers on YouTube. Just go to YouTube and search for Nevada Newsmakers and become a subscriber. We'll see you on the next broadcast. Thanks for watching and listening.